It does seem like postmodernism is the source code that's
Yes.
underwritten everything, and then what you've got on top of that are some apps. So
Very nice way of putting it. Yes.
so you have the particular operating system, that's postmodernism, and then you have, give us some of the apps. What are some of the apps that people have downloaded onto their social justice phone?
Sure. So for example, anything with the trans prefix becomes an instantiation of it's my truth. There is no truth, right? So there is transgender. Now, by the way, when I say this, that doesn't mean that I'm negating the fact that there is such a thing as transgender people, and there is such a thing as we should not be bigoted against them and they should live free of bigotry. So one doesn't imply the other. But for example, when in the pursuit of trans activism, you negate biological realities that the average 3-day-old newborn pigeon knows, then that becomes a problem, right? So you have to be able to chew and walk at the same time. I could be fully liberal and supportive of transgender rights while also saying, look, if you're 270 pounds and 6'4" and suddenly you call yourself a woman, no, you can't compete against biological women. And it doesn't make you a transphobe. My very young children look at this quizzically and they don't understand it. Are they transphobes? Are they Hitlers? So that would be one example. Radical feminism is another perfect manifestation of this, right? In the pursuit of equality under the law, which we should all support, that doesn't mean that we reject that there are innate sex differences. But most radical feminists think that by giving leeway to the possibility that men and women might be different, this opens the door to maintaining the sexist patriarchal status quo. No, we can recognize that men and women are equal under the law and there shouldn't be any institutional bigotry, while also recognizing that there is such a thing called sexual selection, Darwin, which basically says that we have evolved many things similarly, but many things differently, precisely because we are a sexually reproducing species. So these would be a few examples. Do you want me to give you more, or
no? I think we've got some good ones there. It seems to me that the pernicious thing about these ideas is that they've got a kernel of truth.
Right.
And is that the delivery mechanism? Is that the delivery mechanism of the parasite?
So give me an example of how rejecting that only women could menstruate could have a kernel of truth.
So for instance, with regards to the trans rights, we want to ensure that people who are transgender are treated fairly, equally in society. With radical feminism, everyone believes that women, perhaps in the past, there were some particular prejudices that they had to battle against. We had a suffragette movement. Those, they're fairly objective. You couldn't vote. You couldn't do X, Y, and Z. But it's when that gets turned up to 1,111
sorry, go ahead.
That's it. Just that there's kernels of truth, most of which appear to be kind of archaically grandfathered in.
Yeah, I would say that they're different objectives. It's not that the objective of seeking social justice in the true sense of the term, not in the pejorative social justice warriors, that is something that we should all seek if we are, rational, liberal, good-hearted people. In the pursuit of that objective, we never murder truth. We never rape truth. That's the problem, is that what they do is they conflate the pursuit of social justice with a consequentialist ethic, right? Which basically says it doesn't matter if I murder and rape truth in the service of this more laudable goal called social justice. No, as a purist, and a true classical liberal person, I believe in the rights of transgender people, but without sacrificing a millimeter of my commitment to truth, to science, to logic, to common sense, to rationality. So that's why I separate these two things.
Why the parasite analogy?
So the parasite analogy is exactly, as I said, stemming from the neuroparasitology literature, which demonstrates that, it's almost science fiction, right? You can have this parasite. Now, by the way, the reason why I say neuroparasitology, because parasites can take hold in different parts of your body, right? So you could have a tapeworm that's in your gut, right? So neuroparasites are ones that seek the brain because as part of their reproductive cycle, this is where they have to kind of go. So there's a parasite that will infect the brains of certain insects, causing these insects who are otherwise very water phobic to jump into the water as if they're kind of committing kamikaze thing. They hate the water because the parasite needs the water to then complete its reproductive cycle. So it is rewiring your circuitry to its benefit. Well, idea pathogens are doing the exact same thing, right? They can take a otherwise supposedly functioning human being, and then you can have these idiotic ideas infect your brain so that you could become a mush of bullshit, so that you, instead of jumping into the water as the insect does, you now jump off the abyss of infinite lunacy, right? So all borders are racists. Well, there is this thing called countries and nations, and countries have borders. And last I checked, it wasn't only the Nazis who were condoning borders, but I can walk with you on university campuses where that is the official position. Borders are a form of white supremacy. So when people start saying things that are such departures from common sense, then the parasitology analogy is really quite an apt one.